Hey guys, it's Nemmy. Last time you were with us, we slept at the inn in the Kingdom of Foundall. Tulip, Vesper, and Alessandra didn't sleep. She stayed up all night to watch Tulip. Waffle slept right next to me as well. But when we woke up, we began our travels again, and then we were on the Gem Clover Road, which is very beautiful, by the way. And then these big spiders came out of nowhere, absolutely nowhere, and Waffles didn't even wake up at all. Not once. And then Alessandra lit them all on fire. I was trying my best to shoot them with my arrow. I missed some, and then I did get some, but imagine trying to shoot burning spiders. It was ridiculous, and Waffles didn't even wake up, not a single time. And then Vesper got paralyzed. Absolutely paralyzed. She just laid there like a slug, a helpless slug, and there was nothing I could have done, and I had so much anxiety about it, but finally we defeated all the spiders, so now we're kind of just hanging out, and Vesper's still paralyzed, and Waffles didn't even know what was going on, and it was really stressful, but at least the Gem Clover Road's really nice.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Maidens of Mayhem podcast. We are a D&D roleplay heavy podcast. I will be your DM. My name is Gabby and I do have a few announcements for you guys. So we're going to be switching our upload schedule to where we are going to upload every other week on Wednesdays around 5 as usual, but it will be every other week instead of every week. And also this is going to be, hopefully, because it should come out the week of Thanksgiving, our Thanksgiving special. So it's a little bit more of an offbeat, casual conversation episode where you're going to get to know the characters a little bit better. It's a campfire episode, so I'm very excited to see what that's going to lead to, especially in the aftermath of what the last episode was. So we're going to see how that goes. Mikhayla, since you gave the intro, would you like to go first in introducing yourself and your character?
Guys, I'm Mikhayla. I am playing Nemmy Nemesis and occasionally a squeak from Waffles McButters. Physical to script, in case you forgot, Nemmy is like 5'6". She has light violet skin, brown eyes, and she's your average tiefling. And she is a loner. Waffles is her only companion, but now she has a few more companions, as you'll see, but her social awkwardness is definitely coming to show. So keep listening and find more about Nemmy.
Right, and we'll go to Molly next.
I'm Molly. I play Alessandra, who is a Dhampir rogue. For those of you who need a refresher, again, she has black shoulder-length hair, 2 different colored eyes, one red, one violet. She has fangs because she's half vampire, and she's very pale due to the lack of going in sunlight because, half vampire. That's her.
And lastly, Morgan.
Hi everybody, I'm Morgan. I play Vesper Aurvandall, human cleric of Twilight under Celestian. She is about 6'2", with blonde hair, streaks of white throughout it, and I don't know if I've ever said this about her, but she also has light brown eyes. And that's really Vesper. She really is just there, chilling,
Really
paralyzed,
chillin'.
on the ground.
Chilling like a villain without moving.
Chilling like a villain on the ground, kind of upset about what happened to her, but we'll see. We'll see what
Listen,
happens.
bitch, it wasn't my fault. For once.
Sure, keep telling yourself that.
Well, anyway, so that's where we're picking up. We are in the forest. What do you guys do?
I lie there.
Thanks. Thanks for that.
Alessandra is going to look down at Vesper, move over to Vesper's ankles, grab her ankles, and just start dragging her.
Give me a strength check.
Just away from the carnage, because this bitch was glaring at me when I said I had to take her armor off to move her. I have a +2 to strength, so that is a dirty 19.
And how much does Vesper weigh again with all her armor?
With her armor?
With her armor.
With the armor, 255 pounds.
With a 19, I would say, Alessandra, you're able to drag her probably about a foot, but then you really start getting tired and your back starts hurting. Like, she's very heavy. By yourself, you don't think you can drag her anywhere.
She's gonna look over to Tulip and Nemmy and say, "Hey guys, a little help dragging Vesper here?"
At that point, Nemmy's gonna look over after her and Tulip are like, "Oh my god, like what's going on? That was crazy. Are you okay? Are you okay?" They're asking each other. I would assume.
Yeah.
At least Nemmy's asking if Tulip's okay. And then she's gonna look at Alessandra and she's gonna go, "Oh, Yeah, hang on. It's gonna take me a minute to get over there. I'm really hurting right now. And then she's gonna slowly limp her way over to help pull Vesper. She might not be that much help, but do you need me to roll to see how much help she's gonna be?
How hurt is Nemmy right now, since you said she's limping?
She's just really sore. She didn't lose much in damage.
Okay, then you can just do a straight strength check then. And Tulip is staying off in the back. She is clutching her arm where she got bit quite a lot from the spiders, and she does not look good. She's got blood dripping down her arm.
I gave her the healing potion.
She took that last time, but she's still not doing that great. And she looks very traumatized.
Did you get a nat 20?
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20.
Dirty
All right.
20.
So the two of you together, you're able to start pulling Vesper. Vesper, your head hits every rock and stick. They aren't being super careful, so you're kind of just bouncing like a stiff board against the ground.
I warned you, but no.
After Tulip starts to realize you guys are pulling her away, she snaps out of her traumatized stance and follows you guys. How about Alessandra and Nemmy give me perception checks to see what you're looking at, what your surroundings look like, and where you might want to take Vesper to chill, where she won't get eaten.
Just staring up at the sky.
Is she praying to Celestian?
She's doing something. Might not be praying, though.
Alright, what'd you guys get?
Oh, I got an 18.
I rolled a 19.
Nice.
Okay, so as you guys look around, you see this spider web nest that these spiders must have come from that you didn't notice before. And in that spider web nest, you also see a rotting corpse of some humanoid. Their clothes seem mainly intact. They have a bag. And as you look past, you do see like a path through the spider web that you think would take you to, the regular side of the ivory wood that you could set up like a little campfire and wait out Vesper's paralyzation.
All right.
Nemmy is gonna look at Alessandra and be like, I think we should drag her through right there. And then she's gonna point at.
Do you drag her through and just keep going past all the spider webs?
Yeah. Nemmy is gonna ignore the body that she sees because it freaked her out. So she's gonna pretend that it's not there at the moment. She saw it, but she's gonna ignore it.
Alessandra saw it, and she's definitely curious, so she might come back later.
Okay. So the two of you continue to drag Vesper's body. Vesper, your point of view, we flash to that real quick, is just the trees above, and you go under the body, so you just see this rotting foot right above your head as they drag you nearby it, and then they get through all the spider webs, and you see all these cobweb, and you probably get a few like sticky pieces that were on the ground stuck to your armor as they pull you through it, and they get to the other side, get probably, I would say, like 20 feet away just to be safe, and lay you down in the forest as I assume someone starts to set up like a little makeshift camp to wait it out.
Nemmy's gonna help start setting up camp.
Alessandra's going to drop the ankle of Vesper's that she is currently holding. She's going to brush her hands off on her pants, and she is going to look back over to where the corpse is, and she's going to raise a finger towards Nemmy, Vesper, and Tulip and say...
Not there.
She's going to raise her finger, look over at Vesper and Nemmy, and say, "I'll be right back," and walk over to the corpse.
Once Nemmy realizes that Alessandra is going to walk away, she's going to look around for Tulip. So does she notice that she is not there?
Yeah. You now notice that Tulip is not with you either.
Can I do a perception check and see where Tulip is? Or can I see her in plain sight?
I'm going to go ahead and say if you follow where Alessandra starts walking towards the corpse, you see that Tulip is behind the corpse because it's kind of like swinging. It's suspended from a web above from a tree branch. So like it's kind of moving. And you can see that Tulip is on the other side kind of poking at it and like trying to get in the bag.
Okay.
So Alessandra, you walk up as she gets her hand into the bag and start rummaging around.
She's going to look at Tulip and say, "Please take your hand out of there." And she's going to take her dagger and she's going to start sawing at the web that's holding the body suspended on the branches.
Tulip does take her hand out real quick and she just puts it next to her side. And after you saw the body down, it just plops down. What do you do now?
Going to take her dagger. She is going to find the hole where Tulip stuck her hand, and she's going to open the webbing to see what is inside.
So when Alessandra looks inside the bag, you see a small coin purse and also the small animal skeleton inside. And the small animal skeleton seems to be wearing a bow tie.
Alessandra's going to take out the coin purse and look inside.
There is 10 gold inside the coin purse.
Dibs. She's going to pocket it.
Vesper 20 feet away, just like... Feel that she pocketed money.
Tulip stands there just looking at you as you do this.
She's going to look over at Tulip and say, he doesn't need it now.
She just nods rather quickly.
And then she's going to look at the body and see maybe if she can identify what this creature is.
Give me a perception check.
16.
Alright, with a 16, you can definitely tell that this was a rotting human corpse. And judging by the way this male is dressed, you would suspect that he was a servant of some kind, perhaps a butler, but you have no idea like what he was doing out in the woods or anything else regarding his identity.
She's going to very quietly wonder to herself, I wonder why he's this far from home. And then she's going to look up at Tulip and say, come on, let's go with the others.
She nods very quickly and just immediately follows you.
Okay, I think at this point we are back with the group, the squad.
While Alessandra was over with Tulip, the body, Nemmy walked over to Vesper, Vesper's looking up, right?
Yeah.
So Vesper, point of view of Vesper, she just sees Nemmy just lean over her and look down, and Nemmy's gonna say, Vesper, are you okay? Give me a thumbs up if you're alright.
Hi there. No, just a question I have.
Yes.
Can I, grunt or anything? Can I make any vocalizations?
Would you say your mouth was open at all when you became paralyzed? Or would it have been shut because you were in battle?
I think it would depend on if the paralyzation took place gradual and then I was paralyzed, or, it happened immediately.
I would say it took, because, a round of combat is 6 seconds, so it probably, from the time it bit you and you failed your constitution saving throw, that 6 seconds was your gradual paralyzation, so at the end
Okay.
of your 6 seconds, you were paralyzed.
Okay, then my mouth is closed.
Then no. I mean, I suppose you could, hum a little bit, but that's about it.
Okay, I just... very strange.
So when Nemmy hears the grunt, she's gonna look at Vesper. She's gonna put her thumbs up and she's gonna say, okay, hopefully we can try to get you unstuck momentarily. I think I'm gonna try to build a fire. Maybe we can thaw you or something. I don't know. Hey, where's Tulip? Oh, she's over there. Oh, you can't talk. You can't. I'm gonna try to build a fire. I'll be over here, Vesper. Don't go and just lay there. I'll be right back. And then she's gonna walk over and she's gonna look for firewood.
Vesper is trying not to panic at the idea of Nemmy starting a fire. Next to her. Considering just bursts of spiders not that far away.
Nemmy, give me a survival check as you look for firewood and start to construct your fire. And that's what Alessandra and Tulip, you walk back up on, is Nemmy looking around, picking up sticks and kindling and wood.
Alessandra is going to walk over to Vesper, lean over so Vesper sees her face and says, hey Vesper, you're under arrest. And then she's going to start laughing.
Tulip starts laughing as soon as you say that, but she quickly covers her mouth like she shouldn't have done that.
She's gonna be laughing, and then she's gonna go, wait, Vesper, freeze. She's gonna keep going.
If looks could kill, Alessandra would be dead where she stands.
Anyway, what did you get, Nemmy, for your roll?
17.
So you're able to easily find dry pieces of wood that would be good for a fire and kindling, and you get it all set up. You probably make a really nice stone ring and put it together, and it's just a really beautiful fire. You get it lit pretty quickly. Everything's good. Everyone else around feels the warmth of the fire. What do the rest of you do, I guess, other than Vesper?
Alessandra is going to stop making terrible puns, and she is going to say, well, I am going to go and do some rogue stuff. And she's just going to kind of walk a couple feet away and start doing full-blown workout 80s montage, Karate Kid style,
So is she doing suicide sprints and burpees and stuff like that?
Yes, she is trying to boost her dexterity because I rolled shit. Actually, you know what? No, I didn't even roll. I clicked standard array when I was creating her, so I need to boost my dex a little bit because I'm a rogue with shit dex. So
that was your mistake. Your first
I
mistake.
know. I know. I'm so used to making my characters through Roll20, I wasn't used to D&D Beyond.
That's okay. So go ahead and roll me a dex check as you're working out to see how well she's doing with running and jumping and being overall dexterous.
16.
All right, you're doing pretty well. You're starting to get a little bit tired after probably about 20, 30 minutes of just straight workouts doing that stuff, considering you aren't as good at that thing. I did look into how training works in D&D 5e. So basically what you're going to do is Alessandra will need to train for several days. It's about, for what level you guys are at, about a week in that stat, and then that will contribute to how you level up. So the next time that we level up, then you'll be able to do more with your dex, and you can change it whether that comes up automatically for you or not. I'll automatically say like, oh, you can either re-roll your dex, or I'll decide at the time if you can add a +1 or something, but that's how it works. So it's not instantaneous. It's definitely something you have to work towards, just like training in real life.
Okay.
And at this point, Vesper, you are able to move again.
After full-blown muscles just arrested, just like sink into the ground and take a deep breath. Make sure, kind of just like go through all my body parts, make sure they all work before I sit up.
As Vesper was doing that, Nemmy was off to the side after she built the fire, thinking of how she was going to drag Vesper closer to the fire to try to thaw her out. So when she looks over, does she see that Vesper is starting to move?
Yeah, you would probably look over, like you're contemplating how you're going to do that, and then Vesper slowly sits up and meets your gaze.
Nemmy is going to get really excited, and she's going to run over, and she's going to say, "Oh, thank God! I was just thinking how I was going to get you over there so we could try to unthaw you."
Vesper's like stretching her jaw and cracking her joints. Thank you for the thought, Nemmy.
Nemmy's going to look at her, and she's going to say, "No problem. Build the fire pit. Now we can have a fire and relax a little."
Yeah, I was a little worried with you building the fire, but you did a good job.
Aww, thanks. And Nemmy's gonna turn around and start walking away, and she's gonna smile because she's not used to having companions or people being nice to her. That really made her happy.
Aww.
And Nemmy is also gonna look for Alessandra and Tulip, and she's gonna say, "Come on, guys, look at the fire pit. Now we can have a fire. Is anybody else hungry?" And as soon as Nemmy says the word hungry, Waffles is going to pop his head up out of her side strap bag because he's also hungry. He's going to start squeaking because it's about dinner time for him.
When you see Alessandra walking back after you say that, she's just going to be dripping, just drenched in sweat. And she's going to start doing her wrist cuffs and her breastplate and her shin guards. So she's only wearing a shirt and pants right now. And she is tossing the armor as she goes. And then she's going to plop down in front of the fire.
And when you're looking around for Tulip, when you say that, Nemmy, give me a perception check on Tulip.
I was gonna have Vesper look for Tulip too.
Okay, then you can roll
once
as well.
She was moving.
18.
Okay, so you both probably look at Tulip around the same time, and as she feels both of your eyes on her, she quickly hides something behind her back and walks closer to the fire and says, "Oh yeah, Nemmy, you did a great job. This looks really warm. What are we gonna eat?"
Nemmy's going to look at her and she's going to say, "Bring in some rations and see what we have. Also, what do you have there, Tulip? What you put behind your back?"
She takes both her hands out in front of her. She's like, "Nothing," and she puts it towards the fire to warm her hands. I mean, my backpack's on my back, but other than that...
Does Alessandra see any of this?
That's probably when you're walking back is when Tulip says that.
A thief knows when there's another thief present, bitch. She's not gonna say that though. She is going to look at Tulip and she's going to raise her eyebrows and she is going to see if she can tell if Tulip is lying.
Give me an insight check. And anyone else present can. If you are suspicious of Tulip, you can also roll an insight check.
Nemmy is not going to be suspicious because she is naive. So she is going to completely believe Tulip.
That was a 16 for Alessandra.
25 for Vesper.
Nice.
Shit.
That was a 19 plus 6.
So Vesper, you don't believe Tulip at all. Alessandra, you're still a little suspicious, but the look she gives you when you try to look into her eyes, you're just like, she's too young and naive to be good enough at grabbing something. I would have noticed if she had something that we didn't already know about. You thought she was one of you, but now you are less sure. But Vesper, you think she has something and you don't know what it is.
Vesper will let it go for now. I will revisit this.
Alessandra's not gonna let this go either. She's still suspicious, but less so, but she's still suspicious.
So the question still hangs in the air of Tulip asking, so what's for dinner?
Nemmy's gonna start digging through bags of rations, and she's gonna say, plenty of stuff to eat. Take your pick.
Tulip disappointedly looks at the stale-ish bread and the dried meats and dried fruits that you guys ate last night in the inn room, and she slowly just grabs a pack of it and sits down next to the fire and unfolds it to eat it.
Alessandra is going to take out her own rations, and she's going to go sit next to Tulip, and she's going to look over at her and say, "Hey, Tulip, did I ever tell you the time that I found a cursed object?"
No, but what happened?
Well, I was doing me, and she kind of hair flips a little bit, and she says, I was thieving, basically. So I came across something that I probably should not have found, and I thought it was something valuable, but as soon as I touched it, something extremely bad happened to me.
Like what?
She is going to look over at Tulip and say, well, here's what happened. By the way, she's lying through her teeth right now.
You'll have to roll for it after you're done.
She said, well, I lost all feeling in my hand, and it started turning black, and it started creeping up my arm. My veins started to turn black like they were filled with ink, and if I hadn't figured out what it was, I probably would have lost my arm, and maybe even more. All I know is I shouldn't be going around picking up objects that I don't know what they have come from.
Make your deception check.
I'm trying to, scare the piss out of Tulip into showing us what she has.
Vesper's totally just there like, oh, really? Oh,
It's a
really,
19.
Alessandra?
It's a 19! And Tulip's naive, okay? This might work.
She is very naive. She has a -1 to insight. So the whole time that you were telling your story, her eyes just got wider and wider, and she clutched her rations and kind of broke a little bit, so crumbs were falling to the ground as she was listening to your story. And when you finished, she says, "Oh, that's terrifying. I'm glad you still have your arm, though. I won't pick up anything that I don't know what it is. Any objects that I don't know what they are." And then she takes a bite of her food.
They are Tulip, but where they're from.
She just continues to very slowly and not make eye contact with you as she eats her ration.
She is going to stretch out her arms, and she is going to say, really? Honestly, I wouldn't ever imagine you betraying our trust like that, Tulip. Curses don't just affect one person. Sometimes they can affect everybody.
Her eyes just, you don't think they could be any wider, but they still get wider when she makes eye contact with you again. And she's just, I just wanted to know what it said. And she takes out from behind her back a piece of paper and she throws it at you, basically. It was in the corpse's bag. I just wanted to know. And she starts crying. She's like, I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
She's going to pat Tulip's shoulder and say, it's all right, Tulip. I forgive you. I wasn't mad. Now let's see what this says, okay?
So now I will send the note into the Discord chat, notes and letters, and this will also, for the listeners who can't see this, it'll be on the Instagram.
Instagram?
Instagram.
I got my grandma on speed dial. That's what I call Instagram.
No.
Nemmy's gonna break the fourth wall and punch you, specifically, Molly. Not even Alessandra anymore.
Right.
Okay, so for right now, only Alessandra knows what it says. And Tulip, because she read it.
Alessandra's going to read this out loud. She is going to look at her companions after she reads it, but it says, Dearest King, let's say Revo Fidatus, I hope this letter finds you in better health than last we spoke. I'm afraid I must be quick. Something I do not understand has claimed my home as its own. I fear for my life, yet I cannot bring myself to leave my family's estate. I surmise it would not allow my escape either way. Upon this realization, I sent my butler to bring you this letter as a warning. Do not return to the Briarfog estate. With love, Agnes Briarfog. She's going to lower the letter, and she's going to look at her party, and her eyes are going to go wide, almost the size of dinner plates. She's going to say, Tulip, If you ever find anything like this again, make sure you tell us, okay?
She pauses for a moment and then slowly nods.
She's going to look over at Tulip and give a half smile, like, I appreciate it, you're appreciated. This is a safe space, sweetie.
Give me an insight check.
Yep, nope, that's a 2.
Tulip gives you back a half smile, and she seems to just appreciate that you appreciate her. How does the rest of the party react to this interaction and also the letter that Alessandra just read?
When Alessandra said the Briarfrog estate, Vesper definitely took out the map just to see, because she remembers seeing something like that on there.
And it is on the map, and you recognize that you will be going past it to get to where you're going.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Nemmy's scared. She is shook. That Nemmy is gonna go sit by the fire and start rubbing her hands next to the fire, warming it up, trying to remain positive.
Vesper will bring up that we are going to have to go past it. I don't know if there's really a way around. Not if we take the road the whole way.
Alessandra is going to hand the letter back to Tulip and say, keep this safe. And she is going to start thinking about it. And she's wondering what happened to make this Agnes Briarfog person write this letter.
When you hand the letter back to Tulip, she grabs it very quickly and a little bit too forcefully, and she reopens it and reads it again, and she just continues to stare at it. She doesn't actually put it away.
Alessandra's just going to make sure that she doesn't do something like throw it in the fire.
You don't think she has any intention of throwing it in the fire. She's holding it quite tightly.
Does Alessandra notice this?
I would say she probably is the first one to notice, and then slowly the other group, like, you don't even have to roll for it. Like, as you guys are just kind of sitting there in silence, you realize that Tulip didn't put the letter away, and she's staring right at it.
She's going to look over at Tulip and say, Tulip, are you all right?
She slowly looks back up from the paper and just folds it back up. She's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm fine. I wanted to reread it a couple times. Sorry. Were we talking about something?" And she puts it in her backpack.
She thinks the satyr is sus, but she's not going to do anything.
Vesper will interject, Tulip, if you know something that's going to be helpful, it's better if we know too.
Make a persuasion check, please.
While they're doing that, Nemmy's gonna be off
That's a
on
10.
her own by the fire, and she's gonna take Waffles out and set him next to her. She's gonna pet him and say, "There you go, buddy. Warm up a little bit."
Aww.
Baby boy.
Did you say it was a 10?
That's a 10, yeah.
Tulip just looks back over at Vesper and says, "I know as much as you guys did. We read the letter together."
Alessandra's going to say, just so you know, Vesper is right. If you know anything that might be able to help us, she's going to say it very gently. If you know anything that might be able to help us, please tell us. And BT dubs, I rolled a 14, but that's plus 6 to persuasion, so that's a dirty 20.
So with Alessandra reinforcing this idea in Tulip's mind, she lets out a sigh and says, "If we're going to pass the estate, I think we should maybe go find out what happened to this Miss Agnes Briarfog. I think that she's probably in danger and we should help her." But even with that, you can tell that she's still holding something back.
She's going to look at Tulip and use that same very gentle tone and say, is there anything else you can tell us?
She brings her knees to her chest and like wraps her arms around them. She says, "I just hope Agnes is still alive."
She's going to look at Vesper, and then she's going to look at Nemmy, and then she's going to look at Vesper, and then she's going to look at Nemmy, and she's going to look at Tulip. She's going to say, do you know this person?
Give me another persuasion check.
God bless persuasion for me. 13.
Tulip nods and she says, "Agnes Briarfog was the Eladrin that brought us all together when a lot of the Fae, well, before I was alive, but when my ancestors were tricked or fell through or somehow ended up on this plane of existence from the Feywild. She was the person who protected them and made sure we all survived and, well, made sure I existed, basically. My grandparents knew her. I've never actually met her, and I honestly stopped believing she was even real. A lot of the Fae went their separate ways over the centuries. Even if it's not her that someone used her name, I want to know if it is who I think it is and if she's still alive.
Alessandra is going to be nodding very slowly as Tulip is saying all of this. She's taking in every word. And then when Tulip's done, she is very awkward with human interaction, but she's going to place her hand over Tulip's and give it a reassuring, awkward friendship squeeze.
She nods her appreciation when you do that, but she doesn't really move. She looks very caught up in her own thoughts about the whole situation.
Let's take it one day at a time. You defeated some spiders today, so let's have maybe a little bit of a celebration. We can worry about the Briarfrog estate tomorrow.
Tulip nods slowly to that, but she kind of rolls her eyes when you say that.
Alessandra is going to reach in for her rations and she's going to pull out some of those airplane wine bottles. And she's going to pass one to Tulip and she's going to raise her airplane wine bottle and say to Agnes.
Tulip raises hers as well and says to Agnes, and she knocks her entire bottle. She puts it to her lips and knocks the whole thing back in one, gulp.
Alessandra's going to look at Tulip as she's doing this and say, damn, he could drink me under the table.
And when she puts the bottle back down, she's like, I'm getting fucked up tonight, and none of you are gonna stop me.
Maybe not that far. We do have to be coherent tomorrow.
She might already be that far from what I rolled.
Vesper places her head in her hand and just reaches a hand out for her own.
Alessandra's going to pass her an airplane bottle.
So you two start drinking?
Knock it back, yeah.
Very
knock it back.
slowly.
Okay.
Very
so,
slowly.
Since Vesper's knocking it back, please give me a Constitution saving throw. Did Nemmy want to participate in the festivities, or is she staying sober?
Nemmy is gonna probably stay sober. She might take a little swig. She's not interested in getting drunk right now.
What'd you get?
15.
Right, with a 15, this is some good wine. You're feeling a little bit of a buzz starting, especially since you chugged the bottle, but you think if you chug maybe one or two more, then you'll really get to where Tulip already is.
Oh, Lord.
Alessandra is going to hand Tulip her water skin and say, pace yourself.
She'll take a swig of your water and then put her hand out for another bottle.
Alessandra is going to cut the wine with water and she's going to hand Tulip the water wine combo.
Make a stealth check to see if you do that without her noticing.
That is a nat 20!
Never mind, I'm not even gonna check. So yeah, she has watered down wine and she doesn't notice. She knocks it back. She's gonna make another Constitution's throw, but it's not as bad this time. She's still just kind of vibing. She didn't sober up at all, obviously, 'cause she just downed 2 bottles, but it's not as bad as she would have drank another whole bottle of wine. And what do you guys do to pass the time as you chill out and celebrate your spider victory?
Alessandra is
Hey,
going to...
Alessandra.
Yes.
Do you have a thing about stripping? Because, back there, you definitely were about to take my armor off, and then you totally just took yours off,
It's not like I'm buck naked, Vesper. I'm wearing clothes. It was hot as hell. And that armor on you makes you weigh more than a heifer, okay? So...
Tulip just loses her shit when you say that. She, falls over
Sorry?
laughing.
Alessandra is going to smile and say, I didn't say you were heavy. I said your armor was heavy. It makes you heavy. And she's going to do the whole head nodding thing.
Snapping while she does it, too?
No, just none of this.
She's just speechless. She doesn't know what to say.
Nemmy watching that, she is gonna look over at Vesper and just shake her head from side to side, almost in a way of, I'm so sorry.
Alessandra is done
She's
with her
not-
wine at this point.
When Tulip sits back up from having fallen over drunkenly laughing at that, she walks over to Vesper and she stumbles and, like, kind of uses her to support herself, and she says, "Can I, like, put on, like, the shoulder thing? I want to see how heavy it is. Can I, like, try a little bit of it on?"
Sure. If you really want to,
What do you give to Tulip to try on?
I will give her my pauldrons. I was making sure I had the correct word. So the shoulder piece, because that's probably the easiest to take off. And
Okay, so you
don't
take
look
that
at me like
off.
that, Alessandra.
She's going to look at Vesper as she's undoing her armor. She says, "You're taking your armor off because Julep wants to try it on, and then you wouldn't let me take it off so we could carry your ass?"
You do realize you were gonna have to carry my armor otherwise. Or we'd have to go back for it.
It's easy to carry the separate. I couldn't carry the armor, and Nemmy couldn't carry you.
As she's saying that, Nemmy is gonna look at Waffles and say, "I really wish we could get you a nice pair of armor, buddy. I know eventually maybe we'll come across the blacksmith, but for now, I guess we'll just have to keep you safe by keeping you back as much as possible." And then she's gonna continue petting him while they're doing that.
Vesper will look at Nemmy and go, "Does Waffles want to try on some things too?" And I'll take off one of my greaves, one of my greaves, and hand it over to Nemmy to put on Waffles.
Nemmy is taking that as the ultimate sign of friendship. She's gonna get so excited and she's gonna look at Waffles and say, "Oh, you would look so handsome with that on. Let's try it on. Thank you so much, Vesper. That was so kind of you. You didn't have to. Oh, thank you."
Alessandra is looking at Vesper with her jaw on the floor, like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Vesper's gonna look back and just say, "All you had to do is ask nicely."
We used the blinking system, Vesper. You couldn't exactly talk.
As you were saying that, Vesper, you're probably helping Tulip put it on, and Nemmy's, like, strapping the greaves onto Waffles. Waffles, I need a strength check to see if he can handle her armor, and Tulip is going to make one as well.
Also, Waffles has a bracer, not greaves, sorry. That's
Bracer.
the leg piece. Yeah.
Okay.
Smallest part.
6 for Waffles.
You get it on him and strap it around his body, and as soon as you let go of him, he collapses to the ground. It's too heavy on his back, and he starts squeaking.
Nemmy is gonna immediately pick him up and take it off as quick as possible, and she's gonna say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. It's so heavy. I'm sorry, Waffles. I guess maybe for now we won't wear anybody else's armor until we get our own, okay? Make sure to tell Vesper thank you." Waffles is gonna look over at Vesper, and he's gonna squint his eyes and squeak. But he's not going to be too friendly because he doesn't really like other people except me. But Squeak meant that he is appreciative that he got to try on the armor.
She's gonna see this happen to Waffles, and she's going to say, "Maybe we can get him some mithril." And she's gonna hiccup.
Nemmy is going to make a face of, what the hell is she even talking about? And she's going to look at Vesper, look back at Alessandra, and Nemmy's going to say, "Him some, what did you say?"
She's going to enter teacher mode, and she's gonna say, "Mithril is a really valuable kind of metal that's hard like dragon scales, but it's really light too. It doesn't weigh anything. I can get you some. I know a guy."
Nemmy is going to slowly nod her head, understanding that Alessandra is extremely drunk right now, and she's going to be polite and look at Alessandra and say, "Thank you. I'm sure that would be really wonderful. Isn't that right, Waffles?" And he's going to crawl back into her side strap bag because he is completely done with having to be around people right now. And Nemmy's going to say, "Well, I think he's had his socialization for the day. Thank you, though, Alessandra. Vesper, maybe we could get Alessandra some water or something."
Thinking that exact thing. I'll hand her water.
Is going to stare at the water like she doesn't know what to do with it, and then she's just gonna start chugging it.
So as Alessandra is chugging her water, you notice that Tulip is handling the shoulder. I already forgot what it's called. The shoulder
Pauldrons.
armor. Yes, very well. She is strutting around with it, probably trying to look in her hand axe at her reflection to see what she looks like, but it doesn't seem to be weighing her down, which probably surprises most of you considering she hasn't shown a lot of strength up until this moment.
Nemmy is gonna look at Tulip and she's gonna say, "Wow, Tulip, you wear that so well. It looks really good on you."
She puts her hands on her hips and does like a sassy little twirl back towards Nemmy and says, "Thank you. I think I look strong, powerful, and fabulous."
That's her Instagram bio.
Strong, powerful.
While Tulip is doing that, Nemmy's gonna think in her head, "I wish I had that kind of confidence."
Well, I'm going to see if Alessandra has sobered up. That's Constitution, right?
Yeah, Constitution saving
Oh,
throw.
okay. 20.
Okay,
Dirty
yeah,
20.
after you chug the water, you feel a lot better and you're not drunk basically at all. Tulip has sobered up some.
Alessandra is going to lay back. Is it nighttime? Are there stars?
It's mid-evening, so you think it'll be dark in the next 2 hours probably.
She's going to look up at the sky through the trees.
Tulip will walk back over and sit next to Vesper with her armor on her and just looks at Vesper like, "Look at me."
Vesper is gonna look at her and say, "Do you want to try more on?" And like kind of tug at the chainmail she has on.
Tulip says, "Yes!" And she like does grabby hands towards you.
I will take off the chainmail shirt I have on then and give it to her. Help her put it on, since we'll have to redo some things.
You assist Tulip again, getting the chainmail and the pauldrons back on, and that still doesn't seem to really be weighing her down. She like can lift her arm. She has fairly good movement for someone who has never worn armor before. So apparently she has some muscle on her that you just never realized. And then I'm curious, what does Vesper wear under her armor? Like, what does her clothes look like?
Vesper has a blue leather undershirt basically underneath it.
Okay.
That's really about it.
I was curious because this is the first time we've seen Vesper not in her armor, so I was curious what she actually wore under there.
Yeah, she has a dark blue leather shirt underneath and then black breeches, kind of.
Alessandra is thinking to herself, "This is a load of barnacles!"
She also has an amulet on that has a sun, a moon, and stars around it. You'd be able to see that with everything off.
So Tulip, yeah, kind of struts around a little bit. She's completely sober at this point, and she turns around and looks back at Vesper, sees your amulet, and runs back up to you and says, "Ooh, what's that? That's really pretty."
Oh, it's just my amulet to Celestian.
Who's Celestian?
A god? You know about gods, right?
Yeah, I have a god.
Oh. Who is your god?
Scarret, the nature god of satyrs and centaurs.
That's a good one. So my god is like yours. His name is just Celestian though.
Oh, are Celestian and Scarret friends?
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe we should ask.
I guess we could. Though Celestian, he's known as the Far Wanderer, so he's not really one to be around too often.
He could be wandering in the woods. That's where Scarret is.
That is a possibility.
Maybe I'll find out in my dreams tonight.
Alessandra is going to hear this, and she is just going to kind of make a kind of noise.
Like a smirking kind of noise?
Like a, that's funny, but not funny enough I'm going to laugh. Exhale through the nose.
Does Scarret come to you in dreams?
Not often.
Okay.
Alessandra's going to say, "I don't think either of you would like who I worship."
Probably not.
She's still staring up at the sky, and she's just saying that with a smile on her face.
Tulip is going to walk over to where Alessandra is laying down, and she flops down a little too forcefully because she kind of forgot she had the armor on, and lays down next to you and says, "Who do you worship?"
Alessandra's going to let this smile creep onto her features, and she is going to say, "I worship the Red Goddess."
Who's that?
Alessandra's going to turn, and she's going to look at Tulip and say, "It depends on who you ask."
She scrunches her face a little bit and says, "What's that supposed to mean?"
Alessandra is going to smile so Tulip can see her fangs, and she's going to say, "She's the one that vampires and Dompiers worship, especially the Blood Sisters."
I'm going to repeat myself and ask, "Who's that?"
This whole time, Vesper is just shaking her head.
Alessandra's going to turn her head and say, "What are you shaking your head at, Vesper?"
Absolutely nothing.
Sure. And then she's going to turn her head back to Tulip and she's going to say, "To some, the Red Goddess is the embodiment of all things evil."
Tulip looks a little taken aback, but she doesn't say anything.
Alessandra's going to smile and she's going to say, "But that's not how I was taught."
I was gonna say, you don't exactly seem super evil to me, so that didn't entirely add up in my head.
Alessandra is going to nod and say, "I think that you'll find very, very few Blood Sisters who think the way that I do."
So you're like alone in your faith? That's kind of sad.
Alessandra's smile is going to falter a little bit, and then she's going to smile again, and she's going to say, "Yep, just me."
And Alessandra says that, Nemmy's gonna perk her head up a little bit, and then she's gonna say quietly, but loud enough for everybody to hear, "I understand. It's just me too."
Song isn't going to respond. After Tulip asked if it was just her, she's a little bit bummed out now.
Tulip is going to struggle to sit back up.
Ooh.
So she really like, and then she falls back down.
Alessandra's gonna stand and help her sit up.
So with your assistance, she stands back up and her shoulders are slumped and she looks back at Vesper and she's like, "These really get heavy after a while. I don't think I want to wear them anymore."
Yeah. But they're very helpful when you are in battle land. Things, not so much giant spiders, but other things are trying to attack you.
I'm sure. This is just a lot, and I don't know how you constantly wear these. And she walks back over, T-poses basically to have you help her get it back off.
But yeah, I'll take everything off of her and
At this point, Alessandra's going to be lacing herself back into her leather armor.
So as Vesper is starting to put her stuff back on, and Alessandra's probably mostly back in hers, Tulip looks around and she says, "Well, I think we need a little bit of a mood lightener. It's been kind of heavy. Anyone got any funny stories?"
Alessandra's going to start, she's going to smile, and she's going to start laughing, and she's going to say, "Do you want to hear about the time my sister put a spider on my pillow?"
Sure.
She's going to say, "I was very little, and I was laying down in bed, and my sister decided that she wanted to play a prank on me. Please note, I was very young at the time, and she put a spider on my pillow, and I started screaming, and then my dad came running in, and then my dad thought that someone was hurting us. I was running around the room while my sister was sitting on the floor laughing." She's going to point to the burning spiders, and she's going to say, "Those brought back some great memories."
I'm sorry. And she like kind of looks away from Alessandra. She says, and since Vesper's closest to her, she probably whispers over to Vesper, "I was really hoping to lighten the mood, and that didn't happen."
I'll whisper back. I don't know if Alessandra's really the one to tell a story to lighten the mood, but
"Do you have a story to lighten the mood?"
she's just gonna whisper back, I don't have anything, and be like, Nemmy? Nemmy, do you have any good stories?
So, I have a story for you, Tulip. It actually is a happy story. It's about how I met Waffles. I was in the woods. I don't remember which wood it was, only because I've been to so many. And after a while, they all kind of looked the same. But I was walking, and it was really rainy, and it was a cloudy day, and I was kind of feeling sad. But I noticed that there was a brown little thing laying in the leaves under a bush. And I was like, I wonder what that could be. Because I'm completely used to seeing squirrels and chipmunks and all types of other critters, but this one looked different. So I walked over and I saw it was a guinea pig. And I didn't even know what a guinea pig was until that's what Waffles told me he was. But I picked him up, and the little thing looked so tired and so hungry, and I felt so bad, and he looked so lonely. And, as you know, I'm really lonely as well. So I picked him up and I took him back over to my stick hut for the night. And the first meal we had together was some waffles because I was already making them. And I looked at him and I was like, you kind of look like the color of these waffles. So that's how his name became Waffles. And then I had to get a last name that worked just as well. And I kind of made my own name for myself because, I don't know where I came from. So I made up his last name and I named him McButter. So that's how I got Waffles. And ever since, we've been best friends. And his favorite place is to sleep in my shoulder bag. And we are inseparable. And I'm so glad that I ended up finding him. But he doesn't like many other people. But I'm sure after we spend some more time with him, he'll warm up to everybody.
The more I think about it, the more you're not really similar, but similar in the sense of your pets to somebody I know back near my home.
And who would that be?
We called her Perry. Her name was Paranel. But she had a pet parrot named Biscuit, and
Emmy's gonna chuckle.
we met when she stole my coin purse one day, and I tracked her down and found her in the alleys of the town, and was assaulted by her parrot.
Tulip tries not to laugh at that.
How did you get assaulted by a
It was like an attack bird. I found her, and she sent the parrot after me and was like, "Go get her, Biscuit!" And I got attacked by a parrot.
Tulip loses it at that point and says, "Go get her, Biscuit!" she falls over laughing.
Looking back at it, could you imagine, if you sent Waffles out and was like, "Go get him, Waffles," and a little guinea pig came running out? How would, it's scary at the time because you're not really sure what's coming at you.
Emmy's gonna laugh and she's gonna say, "Yeah, you wouldn't do that though."
Sarah was definitely more of an
That's me.
Alessandra, though, personality-wise. But I think Biscuit and Waffles would get along really well.
Biscuit sounds a little rude.
He calmed down. It's okay. Once I got to know her.
Oh, that's good, I guess. Good story, Vesper. Good story.
Thanks. Vesper's just gonna shut up. She's like, that was...
Alessandra's going to laugh and she's going to say, "My sister had a pet rock."
Tulip just kind of slowly looks over at Alessandra.
Alessandra's going to shrug while she's on the ground and she's going to look over at Tulip and say, "We were kids."
She just slowly shakes her head and looks away awkwardly.
Alessandra is going to sigh wistfully and she's going to say, "But she was always there for me. All the time. When I was scared, she would sit up with me in the middle of the night and sing until I fell asleep."
That's nice. Where is she now?
She's going to go very quiet and she's going to say, I don't know."
Oh, that's sad. Maybe you'll get to reunite with your sister one day.
Sandra's going to smile very wistfully and she's going to say, "Probably not."
Tulip, who has been trying to change the tone of this scene so hard, is going to turn over and ignore that to Vesper and say, "And where's Perry now? And Biscuit, the attack parrot?"
Perry is still back in the city she lives in with Biscuit. She's actually the daughter of some very important people there.
Good for her.
Vesper's gonna take another little airplane, a bottle of alcohol, and totally down it again.
Give me a con saving throw.
7.
You're definitely drunk at this point. You're not slovenly drunk or just what's the word I'm looking, like white girl wasted. You're not
Sloppy drunk.
sloppy drunk. That's the word I was looking for. And once you do that, Tulip watches you do it, and she says, "You guys didn't end on good terms, did you?"
Me and Perry?
Yeah.
I don't really know.
How do you not know?
Well, she lived in the city and I lived more out in the countryside, and I didn't get to go to the city all that often, so
Does she know you left?
no.
Huh.
I don't think so. I mean, she might have heard from like Chad or somebody, but I don't think so.
Tulip's gonna look around at Nemmy and Alessandra and then back at Vesper, and then she like kind of looks up at the sky and realizes she made a mistake trying to lighten the mood.
Are the stars coming out yet?
Yeah, at this point, yeah, they're starting. Just the little early
Okay.
stars have started to show in the sky above.
Alessandra's gonna crack open another airplane wine bottle and she's gonna take a swig.
At this point, Nemmy is going to yawn. She's going to say, well, I guess I'm gonna go lay down. I'm getting pretty sleepy. It was good talking to you guys, but I go lay down. She's gonna get up and hurriedly walk away and go lay on. But it assumes there's a blanket.
Yeah, you would
She
have
might
like a
have.
bedroll or something like that.
Bedroll, yeah.
She's gonna take her bedroll and roll it out and get cozy. She's gonna take Waffles out of the bag and lay him next to her because that's where he sleeps whenever he's not in her bag and she's getting ready for bed.
Alessandra, at this point, she is staring at the sky and she's feeling very nostalgic. She's going to start singing the song her sister used to sing to her. Of all the money that e'er I spent it in good company, and all the harm that e'er I did, alas, it was to none but me. And she's gonna start humming the rest.
So when Alessandra starts the humming more part of it, Tulip will look over at Vesper and then look over for where Nemmy is, where she's already fast asleep. And Tulip just says, she always goes to bed really early, doesn't she? Is she old? Like, not old, old. Like, I'm not trying to insult her, but is she, like, older than. Is that why she goes to bed early? I'm just trying to figure out everyone's vibes.
No, she's not. She's not old. I don't think, at least. I never really asked, I don't think, her real age, so she doesn't seem old though.
I was guessing she was around my. Maybe she's just a really tired person. I've met sleepy people.
Probably. I wanted to lean back and as Alessandra's humming, turn to Tulip and say, do you know anything about the constellations of the stars here?
Tulip looks up at the sky as more of the stars have come up at this point, and she says, not particularly. I've always lived in burrows my whole life. Most of my life has been underground. This is honestly the most I've really seen the sky.
Would you mind if I pointed some of them out to you then?
She smiles really wide and she gets back up because she's moved so many times around this fire and goes and sits next to Vesper and lays down and says, yes.
So looking up, I'll just start pointing out constellations and say, that's the Southern Crown right there, and if you just go a little bit east, you'll find the dragon. And I'll just go pointing out constellations I know and the stories behind them, making up some along the way, since I don't know exactly all of them in this area, but close enough.
After you've gone on for a little bit, Tulip will say, how do you know all this? And how do you know which one's a constellation and which one's not? Because you didn't say that like that little star there was part of one, but the one next to it is part of this one. And how do you know the difference? It all just kind of looks like little lights.
Some more good friends back home taught me more about the stars.
I wish I knew more about the stars, but they're also very makes me feel small. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't think feeling small is necessarily a bad thing. When you think about all the good you can do in the world, all the people you can help, even a small rock can change the river's current.
I like to believe that too, but I've always had to stay in a hole underground until now. I wasn't really allowed to do anything to make any sort of difference, and I never really thought that I would. And then she exposes the mark on her chest a little bit. Says, and then this happened, and suddenly I was supposed to do so much. And I couldn't even kill a spider.
The current doesn't change all at once, even when you add another rock. And it's the same for us. We do what we can, and sometimes we have things like destiny thrust upon us, and we don't quite know what to do with it. But that's what life is figuring out how we can be what we need to be.
She nods slowly and says, I'm not even sure what I'm supposed to be for this, because no one has any answers about what this mark's supposed to mean, other than I'm supposed to meet something at the top of a mountain. And she stops herself and says, I'm just getting tired. I'm gonna go to bed. And she rolls away from you.
Vesper's just gonna look up back at the sky and say quietly to herself, "Me too, kid," and then roll over and go to bed.
And with that, with Alessandra's drifting humming, everyone slowly falling asleep under the night sky, we end it for today. Hey everyone, Gabby here from the editing realm, where I need to be kind of quiet because everyone else in the room and the house is still asleep. We do have one last announcement before the episode ends. The cast and I have agreed to take a hiatus for the month of December due to upcoming exams and stressful holiday work times. Maidens of Mayhem will return on Wednesday, January 13th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In the new year, we will begin our every other week episode schedule. But don't worry, we will still be active on our socials. You can follow us on Instagram at Maidens of Mayhem Pod and Twitter at Maiden Mayhem Pod. Once again, Maidens of Mayhem will be returning on January 13th, 2021, which sounds really weird to say now. Thanks for listening, everyone, and stay safe.
Like Vesper never said goodbye to Perry, the platypus.
No one truly said goodbye to Perry the platypus.